Welcome to Sinkowitz, hosted by the fearless Linda Sinkowitz. She's syncing you up with the latest in election integrity, from breaking headlines to critical updates you won't hear anywhere else. With Linda, it's facts first as she leads the fight for one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to Sinkowitz. I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Fraud. Thank you, everybody. You're watching us on OBBM Network TV, YouTube, Rumble. Thank you. This is season 2, episode 3. So this week, my guest is going to be Gary Meyers from the Meyers Report. He will be coming up very shortly. We're going to be talking about the states of Arizona. Get your tissues out. Georgia, Kansas, North Carolina, Michigan, election vocabulary, our trivia question, national news, our vote notes. We've added international news, and as always, you will have at the end my final unscripted thoughts. Now, before we get to Gary, I want to read you a little bit of background. Now, in 1982, Gary and Edie Meyers founded the Meyers Report, which started as a nationally syndicated newspaper column, syndicated by United Media, which is a division of Scripps Howard. It appeared in papers from Maine to Hawaii, from Alaska to Barbados, and in nearly every major city in the United States. Along the way, they established a collection of experts with hands-on, real work experience in a wide range of areas of expertise. The Meyers Report has no theoretical academics in their group. They now have experts in over 29 countries and expertise in yet another 20 or so countries. A good number of the election integrity people are among the members of the Meyers Report. It is this group that produced the National and International Election Rules Survey Administration. It is this group that in the late 2024 made 177 forecasts on the economy, election results, and geopolitical events to occur in 2025 and 2026. Of the 161 measurable forecasts so far, they have an accuracy rate of 93.2%, which has been verified by dozens of quality people, including members of the election integrity community, as well as posted on the internet. This accuracy is very real because it was put together by more than 24 experts around the world, including people like you. So let's welcome Gary Meyers to our program. Hi, Gary.
Hello, Linda. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. It is a pleasure, as always, to see you. There's a lot going on, as I'm sure you're aware. It may not seem like much at first blush, but the work of people like you, Linda, Tina Peters, Jim Womack, Jay Delancey, Dr. Rick Richards, and many others, this is not an exaggeration. The election integrity movement is saving Western civilization. This is the premise of the Meyers Report and all of our members. Much like the classic reference, they know not what they do. You and people like you are doing so much good, and of some of which, most of which, much of which you may not be aware of. Certainly the general public is simply not aware. What you are doing goes way beyond cleaning up and winning elections in the U.S. Your work on election integrity is profoundly impacting the world, and the whole world is watching. The reason is that all advances in the development of capitalism in the Republican Democratic states start with elections. In fact, everything in the modern world starts with elections, which are honest, for without that, nothing works. In terms of wars, democratic states do not go to war with each other. they may have wars with totalitarian states, and totalitarian and authoritarian states will fight anybody. Linda, you asked me today to put some context into the great election work that all of you are doing. The United States is truly the shining light on the hill. If we fail as a democracy, our Constitution fails, our Bill of Rights fail, the rule of law all die, and with it, the light of Western civilization as we know it. For the context of your election work, it can be seen in the UK, where regular mass demonstrations for fair elections and fair applications of laws, this is what they're demonstrating for. For one thing, Prime Minister Keir Starmer arbitrarily canceled elections for 63 municipalities scheduled for 2026. Now those elections have been pushed back to 2027. However, for a significant number of these communities, this is the second year in a row where Starmer has canceled elections, which are now delayed for 2 years because Starmer's party was expected to get slaughtered. Can you imagine what would happen if President Trump tried this?
Yeah.
Terrible. In addition, the UK just took away a citizen's right to a trial by a jury of his peers if the crime would carry a sentence of 3 years or less in prison. In the UK, you can get arrested for things which you post online, which over 12,000 people were arrested in 2023. And I'm not talking about death threats. I'm talking about things that just don't
memes. Yeah, it could be memes. They could be poking fun at something or even pointing out something that's not right, which is
one of our members. Yes, one of our members, who is 76 years old and a scientist, went over to the UK about a month or so ago, and he won the world championship in weightlifting in his age group and category. He had to be careful about what he posted on the internet because he was concerned that he could be arrested while he was over there. Thought crimes. In the UK, you can be arrested for what you are thinking. In separate incidents, Isabel Vaughan Spruce, Adam Smith Connor, and Lisa Layler are among the people arrested for silently praying near abortion clinics. They were by themselves. They had no identification. They were silently standing. They were arrested only when a policeman asked them what they were silently praying about. They were arrested for what they were thinking. By the way, we do have a contingent of our people at the London School of Economics, which keeps us posted as to what's going on there. In varying degrees, this is happening in other countries. There are attacks on free speech in Canada, Australia, Germany, and other European countries, and now it is getting much worse in Iran, where the demonstrations could bring down that government. We think they will. Most all of the countries are having demonstrations which are inspired by what we are doing here with the election integrity movement, Charlie Kirk and his murder, and the election and actions of President Trump. There is evil out there, but there are also good works as well. In the end, the election integrity work in the US is the backbone of freedom here and in the rest of the world, and for the very preservation of Western civilization, as I said. 2 Sundays ago, we had a roundtable on Venezuela. Our panel included a Mexican-American investment firm owner with offices in Mexico City and 9 South American countries, a military veteran contract who deals in psyops and counterinsurgency, a former diplomat for 4 presidential administrations, and a 4-term retired congressman. They gave us a real-time context of, the first U.S. action in Venezuela actually began in March of 2020, more than 5 years ago, during the first Trump administration. It was then that the U.S. Department of Justice for the Southern District of New York issued the original indictment for Nicolas Maduro and his wife on charges of narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and possession and use of machine guns and other destructive devices. Remember, international bodies and multiple nations, even left-wing countries such as Brazil, Colombia, and Mexico at the time, all said that Maduro lost and recognized his opponent, Edmundo Gonzalez, as the victor. Maduro was not the elected president of Venezuela. He retained power because of his ties to the drug cartels. He stole the election and stayed in office. Maduro immediately issued an arrest warrant for Gonzalez, who fled to Spain in September of 2024 seeking asylum there. Maduro, as a faux head of state, continued his illegal activities against the U.S. as laid out in the indictment. Because it was a law enforcement action, it was not a military action. It was a law enforcement action that the U.S. because the U.S. Marshals believed that their safety was at risk, and because also that they deemed Maduro to be a flight risk, a surgical strike was executed by the U.S. Marshal Service with the assistance of other U.S. agencies and services. As I said, it was not a military action in the classical sense. It was not an invasion. It was like Operation Just Cause, which was launched on December 20th, 1989, when Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega was removed for the same reasons. There are those who would say that we did wrong and that Maduro should be freed. Here's where I and common sense disagree. You can only consider that if you first disregard the rule of law and you completely disregard the Venezuelan people. We have video clips of Venezuelan people showing their reactions in the US, Spain, Chile, Peru, and elsewhere. These people are thrilled that he's gone and they do not want him back.
Right. And he was actually not the constitutional president, because everything leading up to that violated the Venezuelan constitution, which we had Debbie Ferris. We have a 20-minute video on that I'm hoping people have already watched. But so he was not the legitimate president. No. So we did not go in and pull out a president of a country at all.
Yeah, the arrest of Nicolas Maduro was not the seizing of a head of state. No. Rather, it was the capture of a notorious, vicious criminal who was being brought in to face justice. This is relevant because of your work. Without election integrity efforts, such as what you're doing, there'd be no election of Donald Trump in 2024. There would be no freeing of the Venezuelan people. There would be no closing of our borders. There would be no popular uprising in Iran where people are asking our help. And the Ayatollah is saying that the people who are demonstrating are Trump supporters. The demonstrations in the UK for basic freedoms would be going nowhere. There would not be demonstrations in Bulgaria, Germany, Slovakia, Serbia, Austria, Greece, and others for freedoms against government corruption and the rule of law and basic civil liberties. Just last night, we had a report from one of our people in Bulgaria that the president of Bulgaria, Rumen Radev, resigned because of these popular protests. The people of Iran themselves might not be rebelling, and they certainly wouldn't be asking for our help. Half a dozen wars would still be raging. The Somali fraud scandals in Minnesota, Ohio, and Maine and other states would not be outed. An outlier, the West Cape region of South Africa is seeking to leave South Africa, and they are now looking at the possibility, once they secede, of becoming a protectorate of the United States. And the list goes on. The populism and hope of the Trump movement is encouraging peaceful protests everywhere, and they are getting results. The point is, the United States is the shining light on the hill, and is the election integrity movement, which is keeping it lit and shining brightly.
Wow. Well, Gary, I want to thank you so much for adding the international part to the election integrity. And we are also going to be taping a full hour program of a number of things that you are aware of concerning elections around the world. So I want to thank you so much for coming
My
on. We
pleasure.
really appreciate it. And we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
At Fight Voter Fraud, we work to ensure every legal vote is counted, and no unlawful vote ever diminishes the voice of we the people. We're fighting for you in courtrooms and communities nationwide to protect transparency, accountability, and fairness in every election. Our mission is simple: one vote for one legal voter. This is our country. This is our vote. Let's protect it together.
Hi, I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. I'm very excited to announce Operation Verify Voters 2026. This is where everyone can get involved. Every single person can get involved in helping make sure we have transparent and clean elections. The most important thing is cleaning the voter rolls. Who knows better than you on your street? You know when people have sold their homes. You know when people moved. You know when other people have passed away. Those are people we need to make sure are no longer on the voter rolls. And it's really easy to do. We can help you. What we're going to be doing is setting up training sessions that you sign up for, and we will walk you through the process. It's simple, it's easy, and everyone can get involved. So you're going to go to fightvoterfraud.org or scan the QR code, and it'll bring you right to our Operation Verify Voters 2026. And our goal is to get every single state involved in this initiative. Everyone can make a difference. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to Sinkowitz. I'm Linda Sinkowitz, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. Thank you so much for watching us on our season 2, 3rd episode. Gary Meyers was fantastic, by the way. Wait till you see the rest of the stuff that we're going to be doing with him as specials. But right now we are going to go on to our first state, Arizona. Get this. You're definitely going to need this with Arizona. This is from the Courthouse News Service on January 16th, 2026. Arizona Dems say election transparency bills will jeopardize security. It's like the same mantra you hear all over the country whenever Democrats don't like the fact that we actually want transparency. Okay, there's one bill is approved by the Senate Judiciary, and elections would require county recorders to publish unredacted voter rolls online. Now, this is from Phoenix. Arizona's Senate Election Committee moved to support a handful of bills that would increase public access to voter records, though Democrats say the measures would lead to safety concerns by publishing voter information. It's public information. The Elections Committee, chaired by Flagstaff Republican Wendy Rogers, they voted 4-2 to pass 2 bills that Republicans say will increase transparency. One is Senate Bill 1038, and it requires a county recorder to make publicly available the full, unredacted cast record after an election. Wow. Senate Bill 1040 would require the full unredacted voter registration roll to be made downloadable via an internet portal. In July, a state judge ruled that the full vote cast records are not public records according to the current law, which is why they need to change the law. It is extremely difficult to get the Arizona voter rolls, just so everybody knows. You can't be transmitting them according to their law right now across the internet. I mean, all kinds of issues. So this transparency is absolutely what's needed. This just adds to the opportunity for transparency, said bill sponsor Mark Fitcham of Phoenix, said while voting in favor of SB 1038. It offers the opportunity for people to check their own ballot. The bill requires that the recorder make the vote cast records public within 1 hour of the polls closing and then transmit the file to the Secretary of State within 48 hours of the final canvass. Democrat State Senator Lauren Kuby of Scottsdale said the file would be too big to share so quickly. Is she an expert? I mean, this is the first time I've heard, well, they can't give the file because it's way too big. Really? It's absurd and it can't possibly be done, she said to the committee. Okay, the bill also mandates that full names, voter identification numbers, and political party registrations be included with each cast vote. Kuby says she worries making that information public would encourage independent actors to, quote, track down the voters, unquote, and harass them before the ballots are cured and the results are certified. Really? This is a new angle on their excuses coming from the far left. Arizona Republicans sent an identical bill to the governor's office last year, but of course, Democrat Katie Hobbs vetoed it. Quote, just because the bill got vetoed last year doesn't mean we're not going to run it again and again, said State Senator Rogers. He said, we're going to continue to bring up those issues because the people want us to represent them, unquote. Arizona's voter rolls, a list of all registered voters in the state, is already available via public records request, albeit with sensitive personal information redacted. Fitchman's SB 1040 would remove those redactions requirements and make publicly available personal voter information, including social security numbers. No, the last four. Driver's license numbers and mother's maiden names. Mother's maiden name. What? Oh, that Kuby says she has serious concerns, and of course she is voting against the bill. Yeah, I mean, there's. I'm done with Arizona. Okay, we're gonna go on to Georgia. That was our big whiner and complainer of the week. It's just the same old, same old. All right, so now on to Georgia. This is from WABE PBS, January 14th, 2026. Georgia GOP senators target Raffensperger over voter registration lists. Several Georgia Republican senators introduced a resolution Tuesday demanding that Republican Secretary of the State Brad Raffensperger comply with the Trump administration's pursuit of the state's unredacted voter roll registration list. Now, Raffensperger objected to the effort, saying state law prevents sharing voters' private information such as full Social Security numbers, dates of birth, and driver's license numbers. The U.S. Department of Justice has requested the voter lists from all 50 states in recent months, saying it wants to ensure accurate registration. The DOJ has sued Georgia for the statewide voter list last month. And their privacy issue is something that also South Carolina has been leaning on. And of course, the far left leaning Democratic state of Connecticut. At least that's what we look like, we're Democrats, but that's a whole nother story. All right, so the Senate resolution comes from allies of Republican Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who's running for governor against Raffensperger. The resolution is largely symbolic and doesn't carry the full force of the law. It accuses Raffensperger of, quote, willful and persistent obstruction after his office provided a version of Georgia's voter list to the U.S. Department of Justice. All I'm asking for our duly elected Secretary of State is to participate in any legally established investigation like any other citizen would be required to do, said State Senator Randy Robertson. He is a Republican from Catalua and the sponsor of Senate Resolution 563. Quote, the Department of Justice is the highest ranking law enforcement agency in the United States, and they absolutely have the right to investigate when they choose. Unquote. You know, this just kind of goes on and on and on again. So I guess we're just not going to read those either. Like I said, we tell you where we get the story from. You want to read the rest of it, go right ahead. Okay. We're going on to Kansas. Woohoo, Kansas. Kansas, this is from WIBW 13, and it is from January 13th, 2026. Election integrity regulations top Secretary of State's legislative agenda. Topeka, Kansas. Helping ensure your votes count accurately and fairly is a top concern of the Kansas Secretary of State. Now, Secretary Scott Schwab visited Ione Northeast Kansas to detail a few of the proposals that he has for lawmakers this session. Several measures have to do with elections. Schwab said he wants to expand secure data checks and strengthen protection for voter registration data. He also wants to clarify procedures for verifying signatures. The Secretary of State's office also oversees many regulatory and business services. Schwab says he wants to modernize those so that the people receive earlier public notice of proposed regulations and encounter more streamlined procedures. He said they're also proposing changes that will address outdated regulations. In addition, regulations taking effect in February will expand online filing options and reduce fees. So that's a yay to Kansas. All right. Now we're going to go on to Michigan. Michigan, this is from McCobb County press release, January 12th, 2026. McCobb County clerk alarmed about citizenship affecting jury trials and elections. Now, I want to thank my friend Jennifer for this link. She was the first person to send it to me, which, again, I appreciate. Anytime someone wants to send me articles, please send them along. Thank you. We really appreciate it. All right, this is the press release from January 12th. McCobb County Clerk Anthony G. Forlini is alarmed about recent discoveries regarding prospective 16th Judicial Circuit Court jurors. The jury pool, based on the Secretary of State's driver's license database, includes non-citizens who are ineligible for jury duty. Quote, non-citizens are coming through at an alarming rate. Our jury service summons are based on random draws from the driver's license bank. Frequently, non-citizens slip through because citizenship was not flagged in the Secretary of State's database, said Clerk Forlini. Well, obviously, that's a big problem. Oh, who's the Secretary of State? Jocelyn? Is she the Secretary? Oh, okay. Clerk Forlini became concerned as he directed his staff to check the Secretary of State's qualified voter file, that's the QVF, as it related to individuals that were non-citizens in the jury pool. Quote, I am in a unique position to see both the QVF file as well as the jury pool, and to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time someone did a cross-check on the two databases, unquote. What do you mean that's the first time someone actually double-checked? Wow, I'm glad they did this time, which also means this has been going on for a very, very long time. Quote, what we have found is very disturbing. 239 non-citizens, I mean, they keep saying non-citizens, illegal if they're not green card holders, were found in the jury pool over a 4-month period. In a cross-check of the voter rolls, it appears that 14 15 of the prospective jurors were registered to vote at some point in time. They're not supposed to vote. They're not supposed to register to vote. Our QVF shows instances where some of these non-citizens potentially have a voting history. I love that, potentially. If they're in there, they got the voting history. It's in there. I know that's one of those legal things. Well, potentially committed the crime. Okay, one in particular appears to have voted several times, all of which could result in felony charges, said Clerk Forlini. Now, I love that word could. It should be should, not could. It should. Okay, so currently someone who applies for a driver's license is automatically registered to vote unless they choose to decline. If someone is presented with a voter registration form, there's a checkbox for citizenship. If the checkbox is checked yes for I am a U.S. citizen, the form is processed, even if the applicant is not a U.S. citizen or doesn't understand the question. Unlike some states, Michigan does not currently use a federal citizenship database or systematic federal verification to confirm the status at the time of registration. My first question would be, why not? It's available for free through the federal government. Every state should be using it. Every Secretary of State should make it mandatory that it's checked. Oops. Didn't want to go into my final thoughts. Quote, we must find a way for the driver's license database to confirm citizenship. Many times there has been a language barrier and applicants do not understand what they're signing. If this is not addressed, we risk compromising our jury trials and our elections, says Clerk Forlini. Quote, one possibility is to take advantage of new breakthroughs in linking several databases where one database is able to flag another database for actual citizenship verifications, unquote. Wow. So we know it's happening in Michigan, which also means it's happening in every Democratic state. We know that's happening. So that's another issue that absolutely needs to be addressed. Now we're going to go on to Texas. This is from KXAN 13 from January 14th, 2026. Ooh, Texas turns over full voter registration lists to the U.S. Justice Department. Did you hear that title? They handed over the full list. Texas election officials turned over the state's voter registration data to the U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ. Texas election officials confirmed they provided the information to the department and signed a memorandum of understanding with the DOJ in a December 23rd, 2025 letter, which they shared with Nexstar. The DOJ says the information which they requested from all 50 states will be used to compare state voter rolls to federal databases to confirm that state voter rolls only include registered voters. Clean voter rolls and basic election safeguards are requisites for free, fair, and transparent elections. The Department of Justice Civil Rights Division has a statutory mandate to enforce our federal voting laws and ensure the voting public's confidence in the integrity of our elections is a top priority of the administration, unquote, wrote Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division, Harmeet K. Dillon, in a statement to Nexstar. It is unclear exactly how much personal information was shared, but critics fear oh my God, what do they fear? Let's see. It may include sensitive information such as driver's license numbers, birth dates, and the last four of the Social Security numbers. Again, we can't even go through a really good story without having the Democrats fear that something is going to go wrong. Geez. So there's 12 other states besides Texas, including nearby Louisiana and Mississippi, that have also signed the MOUs with the DOJ. Now, this particular letter, it is available from the website where we got the information. Now we're going to go on to our election term of the week. This one is from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, which I checked on January 19th, 2026. And our word of the week is caucus. A caucus is a closed meeting of a group of persons belonging to the same political party or faction, usually to select candidates or to decide on policy. So that's what caucus is. Now we go to our trivia question of the week. What is the word commonly found during election time, which evolved from Latin words for upon and leaning on or lie down? In electoral matters, the word is often simply abbreviated with the lowercase letter I. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
We need your help to ensure one vote for one legal voter. Join Fight Voter Fraud. Request training, get the potential double-registered, double voter data for your town, and donate to support the fight. Visit fightvoterfraud.org, because election integrity starts with you.
Hi, I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. We are launching Operation Verify Voters 2026, and we want to get everyone involved in every single state because you can make a difference. We will be able to train you. It doesn't take that long for the training. It's very, very simple because you know the people on your street, in your neighborhood who have moved or died. We want to make sure that the voter rolls are clean. We're going to show you how to do it. Go to our website, fightvoterfraud.org, or scan the QR code and we'll show you how. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to Sinkowitz. Again, I'm Linda Sinkowitz, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. We left you with our trivia question. Our trivia question of the week is, what is the word commonly found during election time, which evolved from Latin words for upon and leaning on or lie down? In electoral matters, the word is often simply abbreviated with the lowercase letter I. The answer? Incumbent. It's incumbent. So now we're going to go on to our national news, and this is from WTVR, CBS News 6 in Richmond, January 16th, 2026. And I want to thank my friend Kathy from Virginia for forwarding this along to us as well. So the DOJ sues yet another state. They're suing Virginia for refusing to provide voter rolls. The U.S. Department of Justice is suing Virginia for refusing to hand over their full voter registration list. In the announcement of the lawsuit, Attorney General Pam Bondi said Virginia is the 24th state the Justice Department has sued for failing to provide voter roll data. The Department of Justice has requested election records and data from nearly every state and Washington, D.C., according to the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU, which calls the move, quote, unprecedented and a clear encroachment on states' power to run elections. I got to tell you, every time I see that says Brennan Center for Justice, we lean so far this way. It is crazy. They always have to have those ridiculous comments. The lawsuit claims Virginia is violating federal election laws. They are. Accurate voter rolls are essential to ensuring that American citizen votes count, and only with other eligible voters, and only once with eligible voters, said Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon of the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. She said in a statement, quote, the Justice Department is committed to safeguarding fair and free elections and will hold states accountable when they refuse to respect our federal election laws, unquote. They reached out for comment from the Virginia Attorney General, Jason Meyers, and Attorney General-elect Jay Jones. Oh my God. Sorry, Virginia. And we are waiting to hear back. Oh, Virginia. we really need Virginia to come back to life again with people with common sense. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to our vote notes. This is news from the states, January 14th, 2026. Elections Board backs Amore's proposal to let voters sign candidate nomination forms online. It's a proposal to let Rhode Island voters sign candidates' nomination papers electronically, increasing access and fending off fraud. Inched forward Tuesday with the Rhode Island Board of Elections backing it. This is a story that you can just go online. I'd rather have you read that yourself. That's why we do the vote notes. It's a little bit of a longer story, but we wanted to make sure we threw a Rhode Island in there. Now, a new segment that we just added is called International News. And this is from Debbie Ferris, aka Praying Mantis, from January 8th. Now, some of you watching have already seen the 20-minute episode that we put together with her. It's Maduro is not Venezuela's constitutional president. And the particular document itself, which you definitely should read, is by a Venezuelan former judicial judge and former CNE director, and it was translated by Praying Mantis for this. So you'll be able to read that entire story and the video. It's only about 20 minutes, but it will give you all the facts on why Maduro is not the constitutional president of Venezuela. Never has been. Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch that video. Now we're on to my final thoughts. As you know, sometimes I kind of throw in my thoughts as we're going along with all of this stuff. But maybe a common theme that you're seeing is the incredible pushback, mostly from Democratic states, although we do have Raffensperger, who is a Republican attorney general for Georgia, pushing back against just complying with federal law. Again, the Department of Justice is not building a database to spy on you and do all kinds of stuff. All they are doing is getting a snapshot in time to look at the voter rolls and see whether the states are complying with HAVA, the Help America Vote Act, and the NVRA, which is the National Voter Registration Act. It is very simple. Our organization has also been doing the data analysis on a number of states to see if they're in compliance. It is super easy to do it. I shouldn't say it's super easy. I'm sure my data person, Joanne, would say, wait a minute. I mean, she's an expert at it. She knows how to do it and knows what to compare. Sorry, Joanne, I'm not belittling your work. I mean, her work is phenomenal with what she's been able to come up with. But it's something so simple in the idea that you just take the voter rolls and look at certain key points to make sure that people who have died are no longer on the voter rolls. People who have not voted in 2 consecutive federal elections are not on the voter rolls, and they haven't voted in 20 years. There's all these different laws that are different in every state, but there's the federal law. The federal law says you have to have clean voter rolls. Why do we care? Well, we care because there are some nefarious people out there. And I know some of you are saying, oh, I would never vote twice. I would never forge my signature on my dead grandmother's absentee ballot application or her ballot, even though she passed away, but they still keep sending it. I would never do that. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people who do. And it comes in all different forms. Think about this. 2 months ago, would anybody across the country ever thought we would find all the fraud that's going on in the state of Minnesota? I mean, billions of dollars. And it's not just Minnesota. You got New York, you've got California, you've got Maine. And I'm sure there is fraud in just about every single state across the country. And now we are living in history. Do you realize this? We are currently living in a history that is changing the world. The good people are finally saying enough is enough. We are tired of being taken advantage of financially and otherwise. We are tired of having our voices muffled, not heard, our rights trampled on, when we as American citizens want our country 250 years. Just think about the hundreds of thousands of people who have died in fighting for our republic over the last 250 years, for us to be able to vote. And all we want is to be able to make sure our vote counts. Yet every time we turn around, we're seeing so many votes that are diluted. I made reference earlier to Connecticut is a Democratic state. I'm telling you right now, Connecticut is not a Democratic state. It only looks that way because we have like 0 Republicans in the House and the Senate, and we have a super majority of Democrats in our current House and representatives here in Connecticut. But that's because our voter rolls are so corrupt. And people who know me know that I do not say things that are not true. We have the receipts. We have the proof that our voter rolls are corrupt. It could very easily be fixed. But what you need, and this is what everybody needs, is a conscientious Secretary of State to actually do their job. Very simply, you want to find out the illegals that are on your voter rolls? Your Secretary of State could send them through the SAVE system with the federal government, because they already know the registered numbers for the illegals, because you know what? We're paying them money. We're giving them money for food. We're paying their housing. We're paying everything for them. We're paying their medical. We're paying their cell phones. So the federal government does have the ability to let the states know the people who are not U.S. citizens on the voter rolls, and most of which are illegal. We have a proper way of becoming a U.S. citizen. It has been around a very long time. Remember Ellis Island? Ellis Island, when people came in, they had to make sure they had a sponsor. That would be someone who would say, I would take responsibility for this person coming into the United States. They would also have to ensure that a job was available for them. Proper way to come into the United States. And I've said it many times before about becoming a U.S. citizen. Take a day when at your federal court, they are swearing in people who are becoming U.S. citizens, who truly wanted to be U.S. citizens, who did it the right way. Most incredible thing you will ever see. I am so glad I did that a number of years ago. It is just incredible. You will walk out of there smiling and being so proud to be an American, because you see how much these people want to become Americans. So what we need people to do out there, a couple of things. One, we launched our Operation Verify Voters 2026. Reach out to us. We can show you how you can help. Send us an send us an email at info@fightvoterfraud.org. Again, we read every single email. Sign up for our classes. They're very brief. It's just very simple stuff that we would be able to show you what you can do. We're going real grassroots on this. And I said it a few weeks ago, I wanted to make sure that we get all 50 states an update on the number of states that are involved. We're at 16. We have a ways to go, but it's only been a couple of weeks that we have gotten our Operation Verify Voters 2026 out there. We know we will get all 50 states. So again, I want to thank everyone for watching Sinkowitz. I'm Linda Sinkowitz, again, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. All we want to do is educate people on the elections and to also get involved. And thank you again for watching us on YouTube, Rumble, the OBBM Network TV, and on social media. Please like and share. Let everybody know what's going on. Thank you so much for watching.